There's been a lot of talk recently about Kanye West being born again, and some sections of the body of Christ are currently divided over Kanye West. You may have seen videos of the pop-up Sunday services that are by invitation only. There's a very popular video of Kanye West and James Corden on an aircraft. Some people love the songs, others say this is all just about Kanye West. Remember the story Jesus told about the farmer who planted good seeds? Jesus said a man planted good seed in his field, then while men slept, the enemy came, planted weeds. And then both began to grow. And when the servants saw the wheat and the weeds, they said to the master, "Shall we uproot the weeds?" And the master said, "Let them grow together, leave them alone until the time of the harvest." He said at the time of the harvest there would be a separation. What the master was saying was that the weeds look like the wheat. So if they were to remove the weeds, they could accidentally remove the wheat as well. So what he was saying was you couldn't tell what was weed and what was wheat. Jesus said it's the harvest that determines the difference. It's only at the harvest we can tell which is weed and which is wheat. What this means is we can disagree with a person's political views. We may not like what they say or what they do, but we are not really in a place to determine if that person is born again or not born again. It is only the Lord who knows those who are His. Jesus said, "By their fruits you would know them." So truly, it's not in our place to judge if a man says, "I am a child of God." Time will reveal if he really is or he is not. If a man says he's born again, we have to accept that he's born again and then wait and see the evidence as the fruit of his salvation begins to show. Secondly, Paul spoke to the Philippian Christians while Paul was in prison. He said some people were preaching Christ with pure motives. Others were preaching Christ with a selfish ambition just to worsen his situation in jail. But Paul said it didn't matter whether their message was pure or it was false. What mattered was that Christ was being preached. So Paul said, "I will rejoice." So what Paul is saying is, if the name of Christ is being mentioned, people are turning to God, they're coming to Christ, then we need to rejoice and be thankful that the gospel is being preached. So if Kanye West is inviting people to talk about Jesus, invite them to church, has a whole album proclaiming that Jesus is King, people are gathering together on Sunday, lifting up hands, worshiping God, why are we then worried about his motives? If a generation is asking questions about Jesus, searching to find out if indeed Jesus is King, should we not be praying that God will continue to work in the man's life? If young people are connecting to God through clean music from Jesus is King, I think we should be celebrating what Kanye West is doing. The only issue is this: if indeed Kanye West is born again, it means that he's still a young Christian, and like the rest of us, he is working out his salvation and crafting his own journey into spiritual growth and maturity. That he is a Christian doesn't make him the voice of Christian leadership. He still needs time to grow in grace, grow in faith, develop Christian character, and then come into the fullness of his own prophetic destiny.